95% of the ABs you're chasing right now don't exist because of your workout. They exist because of what you've been ignoring for years. 6 exercises, rooted in old Shaolin conditioning. Nobody ever showed you the version that actually works. Most people train abs like they're punishing themselves. Endless crunches, no plan, no progression. And somehow the six-pack never shows up. You're not weak. You're not lazy. You just learned this from a random workout video that never explained why any of it worked. Have you ever wondered why your stomach burns for a minute and then just stops? Why some people train less than you and look more defined? Stick with me. Exercise 1. The hollow hold. This comes straight from old-school bodyweight conditioning that Shaolin practitioners used long before gyms existed, back when your only equipment was your own body on a stone floor. Lie on your back, arms extended overhead, legs straight. Press your lower back into the ground and lift your shoulders and legs a few inches off the floor. Here's the mechanism. Your abs aren't just a curling muscle, they're a bracing muscle. Their real job is resisting extension, keeping your spine from arching under load. Most people never train that function, so their core stays weak exactly where it matters for real strength. Hold this for 20 to 40 seconds, 4 rounds. If your lower back lifts off the ground, you've gone too far. Pull your legs in until it stays flat. Do this correctly, and you'll notice something extra. Your squat and deadlift numbers go up too, because a stable core transfers force better everywhere. Exercise 2. Dragon flags. This one separates people who train abs from people who train their ego. Lie on a bench, grip it behind your head, and instead of curling up, keep your entire body straight as a plank and lower it as one solid unit. Controlled, almost to the floor. Then pull back up. Most people snap their hips and let their lower back do the work. Here's the mechanism. Your rectus abdominis runs the full length of your torso, and it's built to control long lever movement, not just fold in half. Bend your knees if the full version is too much right now. Nobody starts with the full lever. Go for 3 sets of 5 to 8 reps. This one builds control your obliques and lower abs almost never get from crunches, and it teaches your whole core to work as a single unit instead of separate pieces. Exercise 3, and this is where most home workouts completely miss the point. Rotational bag strikes, or if you don't have a bag, twisting punches into the air with resistance in your hands. Stand tall, rotate your hips and torso together, and throw a controlled strike, alternating sides. Your obliques are anti-rotation and rotation muscles at the same time, which sounds contradictory, but sports scientists commonly describe it as a spring loading and releasing. You coil, then you release force through your core into your arm. Skip this, and your abs stay flat instead of carved, because rotation is what actually builds definition on the sides of your waist, not side bends. Do 40 total strikes, 20 each side, 4 rounds. Keep your feet grounded and let the power come from your hips, not your shoulders. This one might be the most underrated exercise in this entire video for actually building visible obliques. Exercise 4. Weighted or slow-tempo leg raises done the traditional way. Hanging or lying flat, legs straight, lowered with total control until they're an inch off the ground, then lifted back up without swinging. This is different from a normal leg raise because the tempo changes everything. Here's the mechanism. Your lower abs are activated the most in that stretched, lowered position, not at the top. Most people rush through that part because it's uncomfortable, and by rushing it, they skip the exact phase that builds the muscle. Slow the lowering phase to a 3 count. 4 sets of 10. This might be the single biggest missed opportunity in most home ab routines, because everyone trains the easy half of the rep and ignores the hard half. Exercise 5, and this is the one nobody ever teaches you correctly. Breathing-based core compression, sometimes called abdominal vacuums, a method tied to old internal conditioning practices where breath control was treated as seriously as strength training. Exhale fully, pull your belly button toward your spine, and hold that contracted position for 15 to 20 seconds while breathing shallow through your chest. This trains your transverse abdominis, the deep girdle muscle that wraps around your spine like a natural weight belt. It doesn't show up as visible definition, but it's the reason your stomach looks tight and pulled in instead of pushed out and bloated, even when your body fat is the same. Do this 5 times twice a day. Here's the unfair truth. Some people have thicker, more forward-sitting intestinal structure, and no amount of training flattens that completely. But this practice gets you as close as your anatomy allows, and it improves your posture as a side effect. Exercise 6. And I saved this one for last because it's the one that changes everything else you just did. Weighted sit-ups with a controlled twist at the top, holding a plate or a heavy household object against your chest. Sit up all the way, then add a slight rotation at the very top before lowering back down slowly. Think of your core like a spring under tension. A crunch only compresses the spring halfway. A full weighted sit-up with rotation compresses it completely and then releases it under load, which is what actually forces the muscle to grow instead of just fatigue. Most people avoid full sit-ups because they were told they're bad for your back, but the injury risk almost always comes from speed and momentum, not the movement itself. Slow it down, control every inch, and it becomes one of the safest, most effective builders you can do. 3 sets of 12. Miss this one and everything else you did stays underdeveloped, because this is the exercise that actually loads your abs through their complete range, top to bottom. There's one more thing that ties every single one of these together, and it's the reason most people plateau even after doing all 6 correctly. You're training your abs in isolation, then walking straight into your next set without ever bracing them anywhere else. Your abs weren't designed to work alone. In old school conditioning, breath and brace were trained into every single movement, not just the ab-specific ones. Every squat, every push, every strike was an opportunity to reinforce that same tension you just built. Most people undo their own progress by staying loose everywhere except during their ab exercises, so the muscle never gets reinforced outside of a few minutes a day. Here's the fix. Before every heavy lift, every sprint, every strike, brace your core the same way you did in the hollow hold. Exhale, tighten, then move. Do that consistently and your abs get trained dozens of extra times a day without adding a single extra set. This is the difference between abs that only show up during a flex and abs that stay visible even when you're standing relaxed. Now here's the part almost nobody wants to hear. You can build the strongest, most well-trained abs on this entire list. If they're sitting under a layer of fat, none of it will show. Abs are built through training. They're revealed through diet. That's why 2 people can train identically and one has visible lines while the other doesn't. The difference is body fat percentage, not effort in the gym. If you want to see what you just built, you need a small calorie deficit, enough protein to protect the muscle, and consistency measured in months, not days. Here's the whole thing, in 10 seconds. Hollow hold for bracing, dragon flags for full-length control, rotational strikes for your obliques, slow leg raises for your lower abs, breathing compressions for that tight, pulled-in look, weighted twisting sit-ups to load the whole muscle. Brace during everything else you do, not just these 6 moves. Train this 6 days a week, focus on control over speed, and let your diet do the part your workout never could. Which one of these were you already doing wrong? Tell me the number.